Cube Roller, a colorful maze game that costs $5 US. I thought for a moment, I just played a horror game. Link to the videos in the description. And now I'm feeling like playing something fun and relaxing. There is no background or anything. As you'll later see, the game literally just involves rolling a ball in a cubic-shaped maze. The game was released quite recently, so the most there is, since the time this video was published, is just one review. Which is positive, so that's good. Minimum system requirements aren't too bad, just some RAM and storage space, and I guess here there are recommended requirements that require a dedicated GPU from 2018 or later with more storage and RAM. I'm not sure why that is, I guess maybe for it to run more smoothly or something. This is a Windows only game, so I'm sorry iOS users, you have to miss out on this one. I personally enjoy a good maze game, and it looked cool on the outside, so I decided to spend my money on it. Cha-ching! After my game finished downloading, I opened it to see, first, the developer/publisher's name, and then this colorful eye-appealing menu screen pops up. I can already tell right away that this game intends on being relaxing or satisfying, and this is because of two factors. The colors here are light pink and blue, which are associated with calmness, and the music is pretty ambient. To be honest, I can't think of any criticisms for the menu screen. It's pretty, the text font matches the game's aesthetic, and when going through options, it's cool to see the text changing from the option to the setting it's set at. It took me a few seconds to get used to that, but otherwise it's cool. Now, I was a dum-dum and ended up not recording this properly, so there is no footage of me trying the first levels for the first time, but I recorded myself playing the levels again. Right away, I figured out what I had to do. It's pretty self-explanatory. The ball has to reach the lit up area at the end of this cubic maze. To accomplish this, I used the keyboard keys WASD. But turns out this game offers different kinds of controls. You can use your cursor to move. It isn't the best way to move in my opinion, but I'll get to that a bit later. There's also controller, if you got one. I tried it out, it was a fine option to use, just like the keyboard keys. Then I see that there's touch and gyro, and they show a mobile device. This option made me confused as I thought this was a PC exclusive game, but maybe not. Let me just check the Google Play Store for a moment. Wait a second, this doesn't have the same developer. I think the only ways I see those two options working is if you have a touchpad on a laptop device, which I tried on mine and it didn't work properly. If you have a touchscreen, which I don't think many devices besides tablets and phones do, or if you have a trackpad for your desktop computer, but that does require a stylus. I'm not sure if that option works properly either, so I guess the controls aren't 100% accurate, but it's a nitpicky detail and not too important, in my opinion. With keyboard keys, this game seems to be a breeze. Calm music, easy enough levels, that's what I wanted in the beginning. Hey, Editor Me here. I just realized that on the store page, the developers say that they plan on adding gyro controls, meaning they aren't out yet. Discard my commentary about no gyro controls. The first 10 levels, or 7 cubed, took me less than a minute to complete. The next 10 levels, or 10 cubed, end up with more paths and a different maze color. It's a pretty good one, I can still see everything. Wait, you can still see everything? You may ask? What is that supposed to mean? Oh boy, you'll know what I mean by that eventually. Starting around 13 cubed, the paths end up quite difficult to see clearly. However, due to the dark background, I can still get around, even though my eyes end up working really hard distinguishing between paths. And then comes 16 cubed, and oh boy do I have things to say about it. The color combination, the light purple paths with a bright light background, was such a discouraging way of having people continue on with the game. If it wasn't For the purpose, I would most likely recommend just a darker background since I believe the point is for the paths to be lightly colored. Another suggestion would be to add a darker glow around the paths to help them be a bit more distinguished. But since that isn't available on any other levels, the darker background would have been the best solution in my opinion. Now, I will say that while 16 cubed is beatable, it wasn't as enjoyable as it could have been. I like a good challenge, but the challenge was supposed to be figuring out how to reach the end, not how to not strain your eyes as much. Unless that's considered a challenge too. Who knows? 19 cubed proceeds to be a bit better since there is a dark background. This is where levels can take up to 20 minutes to complete because despite the paths being more distinguishable, they aren't super clearly seen, and there are way more now, meaning more dead ends. Yay! Either way, you guys probably get the big picture now. Roll ball to the end. Try not to get lost and go back and forth to the same paths. Got it. Is there anything else? Yes and no. You see, rolling the ball isn't as easy. You don't move the ball wherever you want by just moving the ball, rotating the cube to see all sorts of angles. No. The whole thing is based on your camera movement. So, if you tilt your camera just slightly to the right or left, hoping the ball would stay in place, well, tough luck, buddy! The ball is rolling. I was curious about whether the ball was the only option we could play with, and turns out no. There is a jelly, too. Why did I put jelly in quotations? Well, it's because this looks more like a cube to me, and I know jelly can come in all sizes and shapes, but usually I either think of it as this shape or a rectangular prism. Now, the shape is important because while it doesn't just roll around whenever you tilt your cube, it also just doesn't roll at all usually. Okay, go in there. 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 There! Yeah, it's safe to say that I never bothered to use jelly ever again. Little update, I have completed 19 cubed and have proceeded to 22 cubed. Look, if I were to try to complete every single level from here, the YouTube video would take ages to make. I'm going to stop here in terms of my review, but this is only because I know that the latest category, 25 cubed, will have a similar gameplay concept. The only unknown part is whether the level will be eye-straining or not. My guess is maybe not since 22 cubed already is, but who knows. With 22 cubed, the path is just too bright in my opinion, making everything blend in despite the darker background in the middle here. I noticed way more dead ends too, which isn't a bad thing by any means, it's just an observation from me. I already know that 22 cubed and 25 cubed are going to be such a pain in the butt for sure. Before I do my overall review, I'd like to give two other criticisms of this game. One is that, while the song is nice and fits the game, having there be only one song can end up a bit annoying, especially in later levels. Having it start over and over again as you're working on the same level can give you this daunting feeling that you'll never pass the level because you've spent so much time on it already. The second criticism is that it's really unclear why the levels increase in number. The difficulty for some of these harder levels seems lower compared to some of the beginning levels. It feels strange that levels 43 and 44 took me over 15 minutes to complete, while level 46 took me less than a minute to complete. I mean, I get it. It could be difficult to make the levels harder, but maybe the later ones could have more dead ends or whatever instead of an easy path to the end. Or, if the levels weren't supposed to be more or less difficult, maybe giving them a different title would be better. I mean, imagine if the levels weren't numbered but lettered instead. Level A, Level B, etc. That doesn't make me think, oh, B will be harder than A. It makes me think, oh, the levels are different in their own way. That's how I see this usually. Hopefully that explanation makes sense. Overall review? The game is $5 US. Based on what I see, I think it's a pretty fair price. This is because despite it only revolving around rotating a cube maze, there are still 69 unique mazes, some taking way longer than others to complete, and there's a leaderboard feature that allows you to compete times against other people. It can be quite fun, especially at the beginning levels where you can try to go below 7 seconds. The main title screen is appealing, even pristine looking in a way. Some of the colors, like in 16 cubed and 22 cubed, need some work, but the other colors for the cube mazes and the backgrounds are overall pretty. The ball game mode is good, you just have to learn how to control it properly. Jelly is a big no-no for me. Criticism 1, only one Son. If the game included even just 2 more Sons, it would add enough difference and make the game more enjoyable. Criticism 2, levels aren't exactly clear-cut as to what they represent. Besides the eye-straining levels, the game does achieve its goal of being relaxing and letting me have fun in more complex levels. I think those are the main points I want to make. Now, before I rate this game, I forgot to say this in the last video, but take my ratings with a grain of salt because they aren't based on all the games ever created. If I rate a game highly, it's based on the category it belongs in. Missing Hiker, the game I reviewed in my first video, belongs in the short, free, horror game category. It scored high in that category. It's not even based on the whole horror game category, let alone all the games created. The category for this game will be in the short to mid, cheap, puzzle race game category. Out of 5 stars, I'd probably rate this game a 4 out of 5. The colors just need to be better on some levels because like I said earlier, when I played 16 cubed for the first time, it was discouraging not being able to see the paths well. But other than that, good game. I would wish for more levels to be released. Alrighty, that's all I have for today. Thank you for watching all the way through if you made it this far. This is my second video. Hope you guys end up liking this one. I know it's a bit shorter. That does mean, however, that another video will be coming out sooner. If there's a particular game you'd want me to review, you may write it in the comments section. I'll take your recommendation into consideration, even if the game isn't exactly new, as I do lean more toward reviewing newer games. Like I said in my previous video, don't expect my content to be 100% perfectly laid out yet, as I'm kind of trying to get used to editing and all that shiz. But yeah, if you like game review content and liked what I had to offer in this video, then feel free to subscribe and like this video. It lets me know that what I'm doing is actually entertaining and fun to watch. If I ever complete all the levels, I will post about it in the community tab. I'm sure at least one person will end up curious about that. And with that, I'll see some of you next time with another video. Bye!